Yo, we're back. It's been a little while, gonna be honest. So what had happened was, right? So your boy went and got some food. I did not get Chinese food. I got McDonald's because it's cheaper. But nonetheless, what happened was I did indeed get food, and as I finished eating that food, I was like deathly tired. I like shockingly tired. So I was like, okay, well, I can either come back to the stream and stream for like something like 8 more hours, probably 7 more hours, and barely be awake at the start of the stream, or I can just go to sleep and start streaming again when I wake up. And as you might notice, it is the time that I would start the stream the next day. So when I went to sleep, I indeed was asleep for basically this entire time. I did wake up at one point. Specifically, let me see, when would it have been? It's a little hard to say, but it would have been something like, I don't know. This might be rough. I will try it, I think. So I'm turning off EM4 because that seemed to be a bit of a point of contention for my ability to actually clear the run. Something like this, maybe. So the problem ultimately was that I think I was just super behind, and hopefully I'm not anymore on sleep.
This one's for you, Mother.
It was very strange sleeping for so long. I used to sleep a ton, so It's not unheard of for me to sleep for that long. But it does... Both of these seem good. This one's... This is probably the one. Realistically. So... I've slept for a long time before. It's definitely no stranger to that. Obviously not since I've started streaming, realistically. But I have before. But the thing that was different about sleeping this long yesterday was I did wake up after like 5 hours or so at like 9, somewhere in there, right? And I decided, I made the decision then. I was like, okay, well, I can go back to streaming for 3 hours or so, and then go to sleep, or I can just stay here and try and sleep extra, right? And the idea was, if I go back and stream, I'm probably not going to go to sleep again, like I should. Probably going to keep streaming. And I was basically trying to, the competing. There were 2 wolves in my mind. Everyone has 2 wolves. And one of them said, hey, you should stick to the schedule. And the other was like, if you mess up your schedule more, it's going to be even worse later. So I just kind of committed to being asleep. And it did not go well. The biggest issue I had, I think, with regards to sleep is when I woke up at 9, it was really, really hard to go back to sleep. Mostly because I think my body is used to just like sleeping for an amount of time and then like being up for hours now. But what I ended up doing was just committing to lying in bed. And it was a little bit mixed between like trying to sleep and like trying to relax with like a YouTube video or something for like maybe 2 or 3 hours. But after midnight, I'm pretty sure that I slept clear till now. Though it is a little bit hard to tell, for me specifically, if I was sleeping the entire time, because a lot of sleeping for me is like a dazed, semi-awake state. Or like I think that I'm awake because I'm like thinking like weird thoughts rather than having dreams. This is really not what I want. I didn't see his aid, right? So that's part of the thing that I'm trying to do. I think we're gonna avoid Athena specifically because I have Poseidon and Dionysus already. I have neither of their aids, but getting a third god would make it harder to get that boon that I'm trying to reach for. Then, hopefully, either this Erebus or this door will have another Poseidon or a Dionysus, so I can get either of their aids, doesn't matter which. Oh, this is Phantom. Also, that one is a Phantom. Alright. So yeah, that's basically the story about sleep and why I ended up showing up super duper late. The food was, I mean, it was McDonald's. It didn't blow me away, but it was fine. It's actually surprising to me how I used to really like enjoy McDonald's and stuff, but nowadays like I barely enjoy food at all. I'm gonna be honest. Might have something to do with why I never cook anymore. And it could go both ways, where like cooking was part of the reason why I enjoyed food before. This is terrible, dude. We're gonna go to Charon. We're gonna go to Charon because we need to get one of the gods that we already have, bro. Why is it so expensive? Right. I forgot about the convenience. So you don't need to buy anything from Charon in order to do this. It's just RNG, which is interesting. Okay.
Let's go, Charon.
Oh. Why? Wait, why did that deflect? What? Like what? What happened? Oh my gosh, so much range. I'm not too concerned about dying here.
Not yet.
Even though apparently just specifically that one can be deflected somehow or for some reason. He does kind of
I can't.
telegraph his strike, I'm noticing. Oh, I didn't really see that one, but it's fine. He does telegraph his strike in that he will reposition in order to strike ahead of him. Oh my gosh. Yo, I am not doing any damage to this dude. I'm like surprised how little damage I'm actually doing. I think I'm gonna just lose. If I make it through this, I can definitely go to Patroclus and basically reset. But things are not going well at the moment. Like shockingly poorly. I guess I just wasn't ready for this. Which isn't terribly surprising. I've only ever fought him a little later in the run than this. Oh, that one came from the wall. That was a little unfortunate. Goo. Oh, I guess I didn't dash. I definitely input the dash, but it was just too late. Okay, so pretty rough showing to start with, but you know, whatever, I guess.
Charon wasn't too agreeable back there.
Does Hypnos have anything to say about Charon? Apparently not. Oh, wait.
Hey, my brother Charon killed you. Am I
Yeah.
saying this right? He's never been particularly nice to me. Whacked me with his oar a couple of times, but it never got that bad. Must be some misunderstanding. Have you talked to him?
Well, I mean, I did kind of try to rob him a little bit.
Have.
All right. What's up, Dusa?
I think that Nyx has some concerns,
Mhm.
maybe with me, because it's like you said, she doesn't want us talking here like this. Is she not satisfied with the work you've been doing or something?
Oh, Prince, no, it isn't you. It's definitely me.
Okay.
Things she said I need to work on: calmness, not making so many lists, putting things into perspective, not working myself too hard, not taking blame for things that aren't my fault.
Dusa, Nyx is worried about you.
Those sound like reasonable goals, though I just wish that Nyx could find a way to tell you that wasn't so upsetting. Won't you take care of yourself, Dusa, please?
And plus, she said I'm not supposed to talk to you. She said that too. Oh, I am going to be in so much trouble. Ah!
This isn't working.
Yeah. Those all seem like reasonable things for her to ask.
What I attempted to tell you, Nyx, is I am grateful
Okay.
for our long-standing collaboration here. My rule was thrust upon you and your kin. By all rights, you ought to have undermined my every move. I often thought you would. Yet once Olympus and I severed ties, you stood by me still.
I am the night itself, as you well know, Hades. As I declared to you when first we met, I shall stand by your side so long as you remain the fate-appointed ruler of this realm.
Okay.
I shall require no additional reminders. Know in turn that I shall always oversee this realm to the full extent of my ability.
You have my gratitude.
The honor is mine.
I was really trying to talk to Cerberus and Pet Cerberus, but you know,
At himself.
Be good, boy.
that's interesting. All right. Trying to think, is Hades in? Oh yeah, Hades is in Smite. He's the Dark Caster. He actually looks very similar to Nyx. Very weird champion. Because he's like high damage, but also kind of, sort of tanky. Sort of. Should I do this? Yeah,
I'll
sure.
take that deal.
Might come in handy way later.
Sans the featured servant once again.
What was all that splashing? Did you hear that? Cause of death, rockfall. Okay. So, whoops. Charon absolutely bopped me. Which makes a certain amount of sense. I didn't really have anything.
What's a good word? My blade.
What does this do again?
Keepsakes hold power.
100%. Yeah. I was considering switching to this. I don't need Poseidon anymore, right? Or Skelly. We'll do this.
Okay.
Should help my clear significantly till I get a boon for this. Especially since I'm so selective now, it seems like.
Back in one piece.
Routine inspection. Fascinating. And it's 3 per rank. Your talents are deactivated. -3 per rank. So is it the entire talent or like 3 talents or 3 ranks in the talent? It's probably the entire talent. I'm not sure which ones they would actually deactivate though. I can afford to get rid of the bottom one, but I probably wouldn't want to because I am trying to get a legendary boon. The bottom 3, I mean. This one seems so terrible, I'm gonna be honest. It'd be different if I was using the Fist of Malphon. You have fewer choices when offered boons. That's really rough too. This one's probably possible. Probably don't want to do it though. So that would be 7, 14, 21, 28. I could probably do that. I usually do clear faster than 28 minutes. Usually. Custom seems really, really rough for trying to get a legendary boon. Making them faster is like the opposite of what I want for this weapon. More enemies will slow me down. Them being tankier doesn't necessarily hurt me too much though, to be honest. I think this is probably the setup that I want, ultimately.
Again.
Nobody gets out of here, boy. Whether alive or dead. You think I jest? You think I haven't tried?
Tried to get out? I feel like you would be able to get out pretty easily, Hades.
Shot.
Being that you demonstrably have made it to the surface.
Comes down to
No one's
two
stopping you from going to the surface and continuing.
mortals who have to live with our shame, which is worse.
This is actually kind of tragic. I guess I can do this and save my special for
I'll make every strike count.
my attack and my special for a debuff. I could do Artemis again
Time more pain.
and hopefully get the aid. I don't really need to go to Erebus, to be honest, because I'm realistically just not going to come here enough to clear the codex before I move on from this game. Well, at least as far as the stream is concerned. But, you know, it worked out. Every time I fail, though, it's, like, really bad. Okay, Artemis aid. Nothing. I can level up the aid. Oh, well, it's random, right? So. No, well, it did work out. Sick. Okay, we'll go to Chaos.
Hit me.
I don't need either of the other two things that we're showing. What's up, dude? This is definitely the one, right? Doing bonus damage to them from behind is also fine. But I think attack is just a better version of that. What am I doing? Dash. Okay. Okay. Not so bad. Definitely level this up again. 28. Seems worth it.
Let's see.
Right.
Looks clear. There we go.
I think this dataless hammer could matter much more. If I get the wealth one, the money one, that could be pretty significant. As well as the shadow strike. Or whatever it is. It's the backstab one. Alright. Yeah, shadow slash. Aphrodite's fantastic. Would probably want her on my special.
Let's go sneak.
This guy doesn't have perks, huh? Oh, but he does have a friend. Got him, though. Alright.
Care of that.
Oh, my dearest, I have to say your heart is positively bursting with such love for so many you have come to care about. Your dearest friends, your burning passions, family, everyone. Why, you're like a living testament to my entire body of work.
Yeah, just without the whole vengeance thing. Ideally, I would want this on my special, the flourish, rather than the strike. But I suppose it doesn't matter quite yet. I can probably make either work, but I really wouldn't want Hangover on my special. That's going to be truly tragic. Can I get a different... I would have to get like Cold Fusion or Poseidon's Rupture in order to make it work on the passive otherwise. Or my special is what I'm trying to say. I think Life Affirmation is really what I want here. Just because The strike is so bad. Do I have to re-roll this again just to avoid strike? That seems so wasteful.
Any other boons for me?
I still didn't even get it. I guess we can do this. Or this. Oh my gosh, man. Why is the flourish so hard to find? I guess I'm just too particular. The strike isn't bad. It's just I don't think I can make use of the flourish with anything other than like Aphrodite or like Ares or something, but the Ares is so slow. Like I want something that lingers and that doesn't need to stack. I can do Hangover and I can do, you know, Demeter's Chill
The boon I got from Chaos
on the
is in
flourish.
effect.
But they will basically not do anything at all unless you stack them up, in my opinion. Well, they'll increase my damage by 40%, but it's much better, as far as I'm concerned, to stack them up than to just get the 40% and just be done. Especially when if I merely switch the attack and the flourish, it becomes way easier to stack them and get the 40%, right? This money is worthless unless I get that Daedalus Hammer. Well, it's literally worth less.
Vast riches.
The bonus damage would actually be pretty interesting, but we'll go with that for now. I already have, yes, Shadow Slash. Oh, and it is actually literally a debuff, or I'm literally nerfing myself by switching off of Sisyphus's trinket, unless I get a pretty rare strike boon. I mean, the same goes with the flourish usually as well. Seems flourish really starts at around like 50 to 80% somewhere. Definitely seen over 100% before though. Leveling up the aid wouldn't be bad, but the max health gains with life affirmation. Oh wait, I didn't get life affirmation. I got the other one. It's okay.
Bring it.
30% health or 15% effective. Yeah, I probably chose the wrong one, honestly. Life affirmation is probably better. Because just thinking about it, they both basically increase the actual effective health that you have. One by 30% and the other by 15%.
Exclusive access.
So yeah, I guess I kind of just chose straight up the wrong one. It's okay. Man, that dude is tanky. Oh gosh. I should probably... Well, that was not even where I was trying to dash. I was trying to go here, but I went there. I was going there. That's what I was trying to do. But instead I just dashed directly into the line of fire. Definitely not thrilled about that. It's fine. Oh my god. Ares, man. I don't want to get Ares.
Good enough to eat. Got some zest.
Yeah, so I should have gotten life affirmation, and I should have gotten that Dionysus, the first chance that I got.
Hello, Fury Sisters.
At 50 health was kind of a mistake too, I bet. I dashed twice because I waited so long to dash the first time. Even though I don't think that actually makes sense logically. Trying to get behind her. Nice.
She's a bit much. My weapons can grow even stronger now.
Wonder if I should spend this Titan's blood on something. Probably.
A moment, Father.
I think I still need to finish upgrading Demeter as well. The aspect of Demeter, I mean. I doubt there's anything here. Yeah. I could get like another chaos portal. That would be kind of sick. Other than that, I don't really have anything I want to spend this money on, I don't think. Until, you know, I'm low on health or something. I don't know. That's mostly what I'm going to use it for as far as I can tell.
It's nice and warm out here. I'll give it
Just
that.
because the shop itself is going to be so expensive. Hermes is fine. Trying to find this trial.
More Dracons.
It would be perfect right now to have a trial because I'm definitely low on boons. Can you get too few boons to soft lock a run? Is that possible? I feel like it should be.
Hello, Hermes.
You know, boss, just between us, out of all special delivery
Maybe not.
I've had over the ages here, I've got to say you're the most interesting one.
Probably this one.
Time to pick up the pace.
I was thinking about increasing my move speed, but like, how often do I even call to begin with? Though there was that one fight with Aphrodite, where against Hades, that was like 4. Was it 4 or 5 calls? I think it was. Maybe it was 4 calls and 3 hits. That's probably correct. Because he went invisible one time. Oof. Oh my goodness. This guy's so much scarier with the perks. I think he made that other guy have a an extra hit of health as well. Guess we'll go this way. Man. I feel so bad getting anything other than a boon from a god. But then again, it's not like a boon from a god. I'm specifically looking for the trials, and I actively avoid a god other than Artemis and Aphrodite. I think that's the biggest problem that I'm having, is I feel like I'm too selective. Like I'm looking for something too specific, I think. Because it's not like I absolutely need exactly one build in order to be successful. Right? It just feels like I need to get the right things in order to... Yeah, what's up, dude? Oh, I got nothing but sleep. Literally nothing but sleep. I did have several nightmares as well, which is very interesting. All kinds of different nightmares too, which is very weird. There were the like psychosomatic kind of nightmares as well. About streaming? No. Nothing about streaming for once. No streaming nightmares.
This isn't good. Achilles, help. We hear you, lad.
I think they helped me take out the Medusa head, but I think they missed on the other attack. Oh no, they got him. You see his armor was way broken. All right, so I'm beginning to realize, yeah, he's got 2 pulses
Hello there, Dionysus.
on his thing.
You and me, we're getting through this now or never. Ready,
Strike. Bro, come on, man. I don't want the flourish, bro. Why are you doing this to me?
Hey, got anything else?
Strike. Thank you, man. Thank you. God bless. Now it's gonna be half as strong as well. But whatever, it's fine. It's fine. I'm halfway to 40% bonus. Wait a minute. Quick math, quick math. If I use my special with Aphrodite and then hit them with this, I'll do 40% bonus damage. If I simply didn't augment my strike, I would do 100% bonus damage. Why did I take this boon? God, I'm so stupid.
You been snacking on onions or something there, hon? No offense or anything, but you smell like you ate a whole one of them raw.
Yeah, I did.
Yes, but wait. How else are you supposed to eat those things?
What, are you kidding me? You can grill them, saute them, fry them, boil them, pickle them, roast them? Oh, hon, you've been missing out.
You can... What's the difference between sauteing and frying something? Are those not the same thing?
For you.
Oh, what is this? Oh, 18%. Sick. No, seriously, what's the difference? I don't understand. Isn't like frying, stir frying, and sauteing them all the same thing?
I have arrived.
It's just oil and heat, right? Like, I don't understand the difference. They all seem the same to me.
Think you can beat me, Zach?
One way to find out.
I think I need to get rid of this.
Come meet my blade.
I feel so stupid. I have so few boons, it's possible that I can just get rid of this Dionysus. If that is even the right answer. I guess I should ask that question as well. It seems like it must be, though.
Chamber secured.
Add a few teaspoons of fat on top. Isn't oil a fat?
You're not too bad at this. Nice running into you.
None of these are. Well, help.
Should be useful.
Just walk past Athena. Yeah, but you don't put it on top when you're frying. You do put oil on. Well, you don't put it on top, but you put it on the bottom. Certainly, there's no difference between applying the oil on top of the thing that you're frying and on the in the pan below the thing that you're frying. On the food, mate. Yeah, the oil. Yeah, when you're frying it, the oil gets in the food. When you're stir frying it, or not stir frying it as well, I suppose. Bruh. Yeah. Am I wrong? I don't understand. Get good. I don't know. You just gave up on explaining. What else? I maybe shouldn't have gotten that perk. This run is so cursed already. The hangover seems like such a bad call. I don't mind. Okay, so what I'm thinking now is if I leave my strike unbooned with the Shattered Shackle, I can get something on my Flourish, my Dash, and maybe my Cast if necessary, but preferably my Flourish and my Dash to get 40% damage bonus so that it's a net 140%. And just putting something on my strike is actually bad. Like straight up bad. So committing to not getting Aphrodite on my strike was correct.
Positively fabulous, I have to say.
If for no reason other than I need to upgrade it so much in order to get the amount of value that I'm already getting out of my trinket. And now I would have to get something different on my trinket, like Persephone, which could help with that, honestly. Don't stand in the lava. Oh, maybe I should be using this at least a little bit. Stand in lava. Okay. I don't think you can backstab Lerny. Okay. I think I'm gonna do this just to slow down his projectiles. Oh my gosh. Wait, what happened to that head over that was right next to me a second ago? What happened to him? 'Cause I didn't hit him. Was it hangover? Might have been hangover. Alright. If I called Patroclus and Achilles right now, would they hit one of the heads or they attack Impervious Lerny? This should be it, right? Yeah, nice. Did you end up getting Chinese? No, I got McDonald's instead because it's cheaper. I made a last second audible. I might instead get Chinese food next time. But I might get McDonald's instead because it's cheaper. For exactly the same reason. Can I get rid of this strike?
Worth giving up.
Yes.
There goes that one.
So stupid. It's fine. It's fine.
Get out of this damn heat.
Whew. All right. Oh yeah, the nightmares. So one of the nightmares that I had, right? They were both like I said, I wanted to describe them as psychosomatic, where I thought something was happening to my body that wasn't happening, or like I was hearing things. They were all illusory, as far as I'm concerned, at least. They might as well have been not real. So I heard like a wooden door creaking open or whatever. The reason why I'm so certain that that is a nightmare is because though I do have wooden doors, they are all very much not creaking, I can assure you. Like, they don't creak when you open them, number one, but number two, like, I didn't get up and check. I'm going to be honest. I did not get up and check because I was just convinced that it wasn't real. But my doors are all deadbolted and locked. Look, if somebody was messing with my doors, they did me the courtesy of locking them after they were done. Let me put it that way, right? So, like, I'm not worried about it. It's not a thing. The other thing, or one of the other things that happened was very strange. It was like, how would I describe it? I felt like I was vibrating, like vibrating, like physically, like air pressure waves causing my body to vibrate, which is very, very weird to experience.
Let's go, Stygius.
Like physically, but also to like think about in a way. And when I stirred more, it was, the best way I can describe it is like the resonance of like my fan. So that I have a fan that's always on when I'm sleeping, right? And obviously if you were to put your hand on a fan as it's running, it would have like a resonance, it would vibrate. And I felt like the fan's resonance, it's like vibration, was the thing that was applying directly to my body, as if like if you put my fan on my body, that but across my entire body. You see what I'm saying? Like that's what it felt like when I was waking up, or before it was the sensation I had that caused me to wake up. Something was in that McDonald's, bro. And the other nightmare, if you want to describe it that way, was
Something to remember, fishies.
pretty weird as well. So there was supposedly like a thunderstorm that was coming by last night, right? Oh, I don't know. We did Lugia. We'll do Lugia again, whatever. Lugia is not a water type, but it's a Pokemon that kind of should be a water type. I'm not gonna explain why. If you don't know, if you know, you know. So is this a Palm, right? Yeah, we'll go with Chaos. The other one was, there was the thunderstorm last night, right? And I had a dream, not exactly a dream. I was kind of lying awake in like that liminal state on the edge of consciousness. And I thought my house got struck by lightning because I could feel like literally the electricity in the air, but also like it felt like a sudden surge of power went through like my body and through like the space that I was in. But the thing is, like, you might be able to convince me that that happened once, right? Like maybe it did, right? Because I imagine if your house gets struck by lightning, it wouldn't necessarily like ruin your entire career. It depends on how things work out, and you might like blow out some electronics or whatever. Obviously, my electronics are fine, but suppose that things just worked out and nothing got broken, right? However, the thing that happened is it happened many times, like 5 or 6 times, that I felt the same like energy and like pulse and all that, right? Which obviously means that I'm just like literally tripping, like it's just not a thing that happened. How much health do I have? This is probably worth it. So it's just simply not a thing that actually happened in reality, which is very weird and surreal. I've never had so many different like fake sensations imagined experiences in my liminal states in the same 12-hour cycle or whatever. It's very, very weird. So yeah, maybe there was something in the water. But yeah, those were the major ones. I don't think anything else happened. Right? Yeah, nothing else really happened. Those were the 3. So yeah, not so bad as far as nightmares go. Oh, hey. Because the nightmares that actually mess me up are like when like home invasion type stuff. Because like I feel like I have to go check, which is reasonable, I think, to do. You have a dream that somebody broke into your house, and you're like, well, let me go make sure that the doors are locked. Which is really not something that I'm like actually stressed out about in my waking state. It's not something that really bothers me very much. If it happens, it happens. I have the college student vibe, getting hit by cars. But wow, look at him walk through that door, bro. Struggling. My dude actually struggling. But yeah, when it comes to the like home stuff, I'm usually pretty good about being relatively safe. But I have also definitely been like, my front door's unlocked. How long has my front door been unlocked? And I don't leave my house, so that means like the last time I went through it was when it became unlocked, and that could have been days, like literal days. But haha, oops. It's fine. Hasn't been a problem yet. It's not that bad. It's mostly fine. It's usually locked. Usually. But sometimes it's unlocked for a few days at a time. As you do. Just a casual unlocking. I wouldn't say like well, no, yeah, it could be unlocked for a few days at a time. That's probably accurate. But yeah, usually obviously it isn't. Usually it is quite locked, but I would say something like 80, maybe 90% of the time it is locked. Something like that would be my guess. 14? Is that correct? That doesn't seem like very much damage. Well, it's 14 times 10, so 140. Sure. Of the other 2 options, it still seems like the best one. Yo, can I get like a trial, please? Like, please? Oh, Aphrodite would actually be pretty good, right? On my flourish.
settled up.
Or the dash. Flourish is fine. Is this... Oh, and there it is. There it is. We can finally do this. Okay, okay. I also want a legendary boon. I think the only person who I'm actually queued up the legendary boon for at this point is Artemis. And I need support fire or pressure points and exit wounds. Support fire would be okay. How much? So I have different league and flourish. What do I need for Aphrodite's legendary? Empty inside, sweet surrender, or broken resolve. So I'm actually closer to hers. And I don't have anyone else because I got rid of Dionysus. Okay. So what we do is we simply choose for once
One of them's not going to like this.
Dionysus instead of Artemis. And then we use Artemis's call in this fight. Don't do this. This is a trick. I guess we do this. Tribute shot's good. So.
What made you think I'd stand for this from you?
Gosh, she sounded genuinely hurt by that.
She's angry now. You're dead.
There is going to be another wave, right? Because I cannot use the call with only these 3 dudes. I mean, I could just like take a ton of damage to get more meter for my call, I guess, but yeah, okay, there's another wave. Very good. Okay. Did it need to be the greater call? Can I pause the game? Using Illumin's greater call against them in a trial. Okay. I think I have to like take a ton of damage in order to do that. Well, actually, this guy has yeah, this guy will give the other guy a hit of invulnerability or whatever, right? See. So if I do, yeah. I have to. This is going to be a little slow and agonizing. There might be another wave, but there might not be another wave. Is the thing. Can you guys like be closer to each other? Like, damn. This is ridiculous. Like, I just need you to be closer to the other guy. So that you... Oh, you know what? I can just let them respawn. That's way better. This is way better. Because, like, first of all, bruh. That's number 1. Bruh. Can you guys not be on top of each other? Please. There we go. I'm trying not to kill them. Do you know how hard it is to not kill them? I'm also slow. Yeah, this is way better than what I was doing before. And I can even get another hit like that. There we go. I don't want to cleave the other one. Yeah, we got this. Okay. It's also way better than taking 1 billion damage. Losing like 3 Death Defiances trying to get this 1 achievement. Oh, I killed that other one. I didn't even hit the other guy. What do you mean? All right. Of course you go for the shield. Why wouldn't you go for the shield? Yo, this greater call meter building sucks. This is terrible. So when are we going to play Stardew or Zomboid? I mean, honestly, after I finish getting these last 3 achievements, literally anytime you want, as far as I'm concerned. Because I don't know, I still haven't decided what game I'm going to play next. So if you want to play like Stardew literally later today, I'm honestly down. Oh, it's okay if I die. I have 3 Death Defiances. It would be much better if I didn't die, obviously, but it's okay. It actually doesn't matter. Okay. One more time. Let me poke him one time. Oh! There it is. We did it.
My boon from chaos is transformed.
And that was the last guy. So I actually needed to do exactly what I did. I needed to do exactly what I did. Oh, and there's support fire. Fantastic. And you thought that that was pointless and, like min-maxy. But no, that was exactly what needed to be done. Though I probably could have done it while taking less damage, because I definitely took damage in a big way at first, because I didn't think about the fact that they're the exalted or whatever. But they're one specific mechanic. All right.
Who's next?
I feel like I should be using this Sisyphus thing more. Seems quite good. The Sisyphus trinket, I mean. What? He's in the wall, bro. Is my soft locked? Oh no, my arrows can hit him. For now. Oh, wait, was he just on the other side of the wall? He might have been just on the other side of the wall. That's funny. It was a little hard to tell. 10 damage? That doesn't seem super worth it. How do I crit? With this? Yeah, that's the way that I crit. Okay, sick. Where's pressure points, bro? Give me the 3% universal crit chance. 2%. Also, I'm a little low on health. Your boy's struggling a little bit. I'm gonna be honest. We did get one of the achievements though. So the only other one, besides completing, like winning the run. Aha! All right. Well, you know, that didn't go great. That could have gone better. The only other achievement that I'm trying to get, other than winning the run, is cleanse a legendary boon, which I'm well on my way to doing. Yo, hitting those things is a trick. It's a trap, brother. Those things explode into death. It's brutal. The only other achievement that I'm trying to do this run is get a legendary boon and cleanse it. And the way that I do that is continue to get Artemis stuff. Her legendary boon is actually kind of whatever too. Doesn't it give you like 2 extra casts, right? Yes. Which is like fine. It's not bad. I just don't care about it. I don't have enough money to get an Artemis from Charon, so I guess we're gonna go to Athena. Hopefully we can get something decent. The dash would actually be kind of sick, right? Because I don't need the dash anymore for Artemis. Pressure points you don't need anything for, and exit wounds you do need something for, but I don't know what it is. Exit wounds, you need a shot, and pressure points you don't need anything. So yeah, I can get rid of the dash and they'll still be good. I can even get like exposed. That would be sick.
Revelry, not conflict. I'm pleased to know he's making himself useful here.
I mean, 7%? Why not? This is gonna be a little rough, a little more rough than normal. No Patroclus.
You are beneath the notice of the gods, monster, whilst I have earned their favor.
Yeah, sure, man. So, no Patroclus, which is a little bit rough, but not... Definitely not unwinnable. I need to save money for another Death's Defiance. Hopefully I can make that happen in Styx. It's pretty unlikely, I'm going to be honest, that I can get this legendary boon at this point, because I would need to get 2 Artemis boons. One could come from the door and the other probably would have to be purchased. And if I'm doing all that, that means that I'm going to need like, I don't know, $400, something like that. Which isn't a lot, like it's not an unreasonable amount. You can definitely get that much from Styx. I just don't imagine that it's gonna go that well. Oh yeah, Best of Fog. Asterius, you good, bro? Kind of looked like you got a little trap there for a second, bro. Got a little confused. Oh gosh. All right. Oh, big damage. Oh no. Oh no. All right. He does kind of get stuck on those a decent amount, huh? I wonder if I'm doing something in particular that's making him get stuck, or if his pathing is just like a little boosted. All right. Trying to get the strikes from behind for bonus damage. Okay. Come on, let me poke you. I'm gonna poke you. Poke. Don't you run from me. No. That's fine. It's not an EM for Hades. So even one Death Defiance should be enough. I mean, theoretically, I should be able to clear Hades without any Death Defiances, but I'm willing to admit that I may indeed need at least. Checking. What would that be? Fishing? Yes, I was fishing for his impervious to drop, I suppose. Something like that. Anyways.
Go tend to the Seta problem for a change.
Sure. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. It's fine. It's kind of a low odds chance for me to actually make something happen with Artemis's legendary boon, because I'd have to acquire the legendary boon and acquire a thing to purge it from, kind of all by chance. Let's see, what are we looking at? Okay, that by itself makes it impossible. Yeah, okay. So all we're gonna do is try and clear EM16 then. That's our one goal. We have some max health there, 225. That's worth getting. I think we're gonna start with the money, and then go through the health, and then maybe the palm. I mean, we could do Hermes. I don't think Hermes is really going to have anything for us, but we could go through Hermes. I just was reminded, a lot of people are playing Baldur's Gate 3, and I was asked once by someone like, hey, how do you play D&D? And I was like, oh, I can explain to you how D&D works. Literally no problem. We can do it right now if you want. And they were like, not right now. I was like, okay, well, let me know when you want to hear about D&D. And that was like 2 years ago. And I haven't spoken to them about D&D since. They're playing Baldur's Gate 3 though, so maybe they don't need me anymore. Maybe they'll be all right. Oh my gosh, very funny to me. Though to be honest, the best parts about D&Ds aren't even exclusive to D&D. It's just like a tabletop thing in general. It's a lot like playing pretend. In fact, it's not really distinct from playing pretend. In any meaningful way, at least. And there's rules, I guess. That would be the thing that makes it a little different. She should probably have rules when playing pretend, too. A little bit. Or like, maybe not rules, but like a setting. An established meta-narrative kind of thing. Because otherwise it's gonna get wild fast. People are just free associating. I think that's why I dislike it, because it's playing pretend. Yeah. I get it. Because like I can't do some of the stuff that I used to do. Like with regards to role playing. I don't have that image that I was looking at before of like fishing adjacent Pokemon that are not water types. There's that anchor Pokemon. Delmise? Sure. We'll go with Delmise. He's a ghost grass anchor type. Anchor looking Pokemon. Which to me is fish adjacent.
A sea creature.
Yeah, D&D definitely isn't for everyone. Well, tabletops in general are definitely not for everyone. I think more conventional board games probably are for everyone. Like, I'm sure that there's a conventional board game that anyone would enjoy. Well, let me put it this way. Not a conventional board game that anyone would enjoy, but I'm sure that there is one conventional board game for everyone out there. That's what I'm trying to say. Without the shame. You're not supposed to experience shame when playing D&D, I'm gonna be honest. You can have cool character things that can only really exist. Well, I do. So yeah, no, I get it. If you experience shame while playing D&D, it's probably not for you. That would be 0.1 against, I'm going to be honest. But there are some specific things that you can only have happen in a setting like, not D&D specifically, but a tabletop setting. Especially at like extreme high levels, but also like context-based. You know how people like playing sandbox games for the emergent gameplay of like crazy things happening because, you know, 5 or 6 systems are all interfacing on top of each other? That's what, you know, role play experiences are like all the time. They can always be that deep. They're not always that deep, don't get me wrong, but they can always be that deep because, you know, the game engine is a human brain, right? So they can pay attention to all of the things that you have done and have everything be a perfect orchestration and through line narratively, like across an arc, for example, of everything mattering and contributing in a significant way. But it can also be exactly the opposite of that, as is the case in sandboxes, right? Where stuff just seems to like randomly happen and have no coherent, you know, thought process oriented around them. So it has a lot to do with, you know, the give and take. You need to have a good DM for sure, or at least you need to have great players. You need to have one of the two. You need to have either a good DM or great players, preferably both, in order for things to go well. So yeah, there is a lot that can go wrong. I'm gonna be honest, as is the case with sandbox games, right? But yeah, just recently I played a little bit. And one of my guys So, man, it is a long story to explain. He did a Yu-Gi-Oh! You've activated my trap card, or like Uno reverse. He did an Uno reverse on a guy, and the framework for Uno reverse doesn't exist in like this game, for example, right? Like I can't use. Well, a little bit. Like I can charm. Theoretically, I can charm Hades' enemies, right? But I can't use one of his attacks against him, for example, right? That's just not a thing that exists in this game. And that's kind of what I'm talking about, right? Like, I can't disarm Hades and use his spear against him, so that he is disarmed and also I have his spear, right? Like, that's just not a thing, not a verb in this game. And there's nothing stopping something like that from happening in D&D, for example. Well, any tabletop, realistically, but, you know. 5th edition happens to be my preferred flavor. Mostly just because it's easy. Despite the fact that you didn't like it. I swear it is easier than most. Actually, you didn't even play 5th edition with us. You played, I think it was 3.5 at the time. I think. Not 100%. But it was so long ago, I think it was actually 3.5 back then. I feel like I'm always letting the DM down. They put all this work into the story and we never are on the same page. It depends on the DM. If you play with someone like Roku, like no offense to Roku, it's not that he does no work, but Roku's campaigns are always like they're closer to like improv theater. That's how he approaches being a DM. So there is no, I mean, there may be a story, but there isn't like an outline of what he intends to do, or at least that's my experience with him. I don't know, I haven't been in every one of his campaigns or anything like that, so I don't know about all that. But for the most part, he expects things to go sideways and he wants you to do things that he doesn't think about, right? So it depends. It's not just, tabletops aren't a monolith of experience, right? Like, and it can change dramatically too. As far as like the story of the campaign that I have hosted and have been hosting, they're well on the last legs at this point with that campaign. The story there, or the main, let me say, theme message that I was trying to convey, I'm still conveying in an okay way. It's not as, it hasn't been as poignant as I wanted it to be, but it is what it is. And the reason for that is because my players have kind of like low-key ignored it, right? My whole point was, hey, you shouldn't let your preconceived notions of like who is good and who is bad color your judgment of individuals, or much less groups of people. Also, we just finished Hades. We did it. EM3, now that's not EM4. Got you. To be fair, I don't have a lot of experience. Well, yeah, no, but you don't have a lot of experience because the experience that you have had has been overall negative, right? Like, you haven't had a good time, so you didn't do it more. So, like, that's a reasonable cause to not pursue any further, right? It would be weird to keep trying this thing that you don't like and haven't liked because people swear that it's good. After a certain point, you have to be like, okay, well, it might be good, but it isn't for me, right? So yeah, I'm not necessarily trying to, advocate that you play it. If you feel like you've gotten enough to feel like, yeah, you don't care anymore, then, just move on. Yeah, no, easily done. Literally no problems. EM4 is hard. EM4 is literally just hard. But without EM4, it's actually not that bad, as you saw. I didn't even need the other Death Defiance, for example.
Everyone needs back. I've got a survey here if you'd like to fill it out.
Yeah, no, I'm alright, thanks. Oh, Thanatos and Persephone.
Zagreus.
What's up?
Thank you for your blessings, Queen Persephone. Your son and I, we always were quite close. But through all this ordeal, we've become rather inseparable, I think.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Well, I can
taste than I do, Thanatos. I have a sense of how industrious you are. You just take care of yourself, please. And take care of each other too, all right?
So yeah,
As you will, Queen.
I'm quite fond of tabletop settings, but really only amongst
All right.
people that I know. Like RP in general to me isn't that interesting.
What else to know?
Just because it can get I get the not necessarily the shame, but it can get awkward very fast if you're not playing with people that you know. But like to me it's not that different from like you and I, Savage. We'll go through like what ifs, those kinds of things. It's not that different from that. It's just there's a framework of rules and like abilities and things that help augment what a theoretical character would go through, right? I like to think of D&D as ultimately a collaborative storytelling experience, right? It's just that there's dedicated roles in when it comes to D&D between a DM and players, whereas when we're talking through what ifs, it's almost always much more collaborative where there isn't it's much more decentralized where we're both trying to tell a story collaboratively that may indeed have a character, but neither of us usually is the character. Unless you're asking me specifically a what if, and then I'm the character and you're the DM, framing the situation out, and I'm making the choices. It's ultimately tabletops aren't that dissimilar from that, except that there are rules that help, and the rules are specifically there specifically to help try and make the game more fair and in some ways more realistic. But they're also only there as guidelines, much more so than rules. You're not supposed to, follow the rules such that the game becomes worse. The rules are supposed to lift the game up.
I can't believe that you were holding back.
And that's why you can ignore them at your leisure. I mean, ultimately, it's a game of pretend. Obviously, the rules aren't going to stop you from doing whatever you want to do, right? Like, you can just do whatever you want. And that's the glory of it, right? That's the great part. When you ignore the rules and do the cool thing instead, or the fun thing instead.
I did not hold back against you. Rather,
Mm.
I had forgotten my own strength. Some of it since returned to me.
Must have been all our vicious battles to the death. Or maybe it's from Mother being back in your life.
Pointless to even ask. What motivates us is a complicated thing. But if you long to face me with the power I once held during my own youth, you have available to you the means.
Bet I can take you.
I have, in fact. I've already beaten him. EM4. A few times.
How were you
Like
and Tails
3,
getting
maybe
on
4.
with Nex? Sounds like they expected an awful lot from you before.
Maybe it was only 2. I know for a fact it's been 2, but I think it's been 3 or 4.
I can't imagine.
To shine was never quite my strongest suit. During the dawn of creation, there was much to do. This place, all that you see around you, it was more my leaning.
Sure.
Chaos understands that better now. As for me, the work helped me to know which limits I have.
What limits are those?
Yeah, right.
You seem capable of anything. Probably even shining bright.
Come, child. We each have our limits.
Not me.
Not me. Well done, Zacharias. Well done.
Good service from the head chef.
She's very inscrutable to me still. It's very hard to tell what's going on in her head.
Chef. Here's the latest
There's
step.
so much going on in Nyx's head. I feel like there's nothing going on in her head.
Until next time.
You know what I'm saying? Like, she's thinking way too far ahead of me. Like, I can't possibly be there. So these are the same thing. They just replaced that one portrait. Likeness to the champion of Elysium is probably Theseus or Nyx, Knight Incarnate. So we're probably just gonna do. Purge a legendary boon, and we've already earned the second of Skelly's prizes. Correct? Yeah.
Oh, have I got something for you, boyo?
Finally did it. What do I get?
Ta-da!
Skelly statue. Why am I not seeing
What is this?
Because, pal, you are a discerning individual.
What?
Skelly, let me ask you something. Did you really commission 3 nearly identical statues of yourself to goad me into using the pattern punishment?
Skelly.
I am offended, pal. You haven't even seen the third one yet, so how can you insinuate a thing like that? Maybe I was wrong about you. I thought you really were the one.
You're only saying that to get me to apologize and try and unlock the last of your 3 identical statues, aren't you?
I would return those statues for a full refund right here and now if I could move. And if there was a refund policy on them.
I guess they're stuck here then, just like we are. This one then.
32.
Are you serious?
That seems really high. What's the next weapon? Fist of Malphon. We'll max that out. Switch to Demeter. Alright. As funny as it would be, this is going to be so ridiculously hard. Do you have to do everything?
That's as far as it goes.
No, certainly not. How high does it go? Great, you made the heat gauge cry happy. 63, huh? Wow. The third one's going to be something cool, though. Yeah, I doubt that. So you only need 32. That's not actually not... It's actually not that high, is what I'm trying to say. Certainly not EM4. More enemies is probably fine. Tight deadline, I don't think is possible for me. Approval process. This is probably okay. This is probably okay. Routine inspection. Let's not do this one. Hidden security is fine. Forced overtime, that's fine. Underworld customs. That's brutal. Together with approval process, but I guess that's fine. Middle management, sure. This is probably fine too. Jury summons, convenience fee. Let's get rid of these ones. So 36 is where I'm at. This is more enemies, right? Yeah. Heightened security? That's like the worst one to get rid of. Something like this? 32, right? I don't need that for the achievement. But it's also not preventing me from purging a legendary boon, so I just figured I might as well try it. Why not? See how it goes. The third one's going to be something cool. We'll see. We'll see ourselves. Right here, right now.
The pact is sealed.
Maybe. Oh yeah, I should bring up that. Fishing Pokemon. No? Can I find it? I had it yesterday, right? This one. Yeah, you. Armaldo. Oh, and Armaldo from Anorith. Right. Can I do this now? Nice. We'll do Anorith. Come on, friend. There it is. Anorith. Combat in Stardew is going to be easy mode for you after this. In some ways, it's actually harder. It's harder to play games that don't have combat in mind.
For my part, I wish that I could have been there myself when my father and the others waged ferocious war against the Titans. I
Oh yeah, I guess Ares wouldn't have been there for that, huh? So, one of the problems that I have in this game, and you've seen it happen a lot, is where like the perspective makes it kind of hard to tell where an enemy actually is. For example, this shade, right? The center mass of the shade is obviously right there. But if I target that, okay, it kind of listed through, but if I target specifically there relative to where I am, it could actually attack towards his feet just because of the perspective, the like isometric perspective involved here. Not a big deal, but it does cause me to miss every now and then. And partly it's like my brain being stupid, but part of it is just the game. So it's just the framing of the game that makes it difficult. But also, there's games like Fallout 4, despite being a first-person shooter, isn't like really a first-person shooter, right? Like it's very clearly like closer to an RPG than a first-person shooter in a lot of ways, like a Call of Duty. You know what I'm saying? It's closer to Fallout 3 than it is to Call of Duty. And it's looter shooter's a little generous, but yeah, I get it. The reason why I wouldn't call it a looter shooter is because the shooting in Fallout 4 sucks. You see what I'm saying? Like that's the thing that I'm trying to convey, right? Like I would almost describe the shooting in Fallout 4 as being closer to like a GTA than than a Borderlands or a Destiny, because those games feel like first-person shooters while Fallout 4 doesn't have the same feel. Like if you take the best CSGO player and drop them in Fallout 4, they're going to miss shots that they wouldn't have missed, is what I'm saying. And that's because the game feel is wrong. Like it literally feels wrong relative to how a first-person shooter is supposed to feel. And the same thing kind of applies to Stardew, right? Like if you take the number one speedrunner in Devil May Cry, right? And you drop them in Stardew Valley, they're going to blow relative to their like actual skill ceiling just because the game feels so different. Well, at least it's a good RPG. Are you talking about Grand Theft Auto? Well, at least Grand Theft Auto is a good RPG, I'll have you know.
Someday, perhaps you'll join me and Callisto for a hunt. But as for now,
I don't know who Callisto is.
The might of the huntress.
Callisto, Greek. Callisto Artemis? How about that? Callisto. In Greek mythology, Callisto was a nymph, or the daughter of King Lycaon. The myth varies in some details. She was believed to be one of the followers of Artemis, Diana for the Romans, who attracted Zeus. Many versions of Callisto's story survive. According to some writers, Zeus transformed himself into the figure of Artemis to pursue Callisto, and she slept with him, believing Zeus to be Artemis. She became pregnant, and when this was eventually discovered, she was expelled from Artemis's group, after which a furious Hera, the wife of Zeus, transformed her into a bear. Although in some versions, Artemis is the one to give her an ursine form. After, just as she was about to be killed by her son when he was hunting, she was set among the stars as Ursa Major, the Great Bear, by Zeus. She was the bear mother of the Arcadians. There were son Arcus by Zeus, or through her son Arcus by Zeus. The fourth Galilean moon of Jupiter and a main belt asteroid are named after Callisto. Interesting. So her story is similar-ish to Atalanta, then. Atalanta of Fate fame. Though she's a cat girl or whatever. Fallout 4. Fallout 4 is an RPG. is my hot take on that game. It is an RPG. Okay, that's actually kind of sick. Oh, what does this do? Bonus damage from traps, okay.
Numbskulls.
What? How? How, you say? That could be with reference to literally anything. I talked about like 3 different things just now.
Power of Olympus.
Saying you're gonna have to help me. How what? They give you a role, you didn't play a role? They give you a role, they didn't play a role. Okay. So you understand that like Final Fantasy games have like a strict linear narrative and they are definitely RPGs, right? Like you gotta understand, role-playing game doesn't mean necessarily what the words themselves mean, right? Like if you interpret it that way, Halo is an RPG because you play the role of Master Chief. In the game, you are role-playing as the Master Chief. And Infinite even has a skill tree. Like, it's a great RPG, is it not? You get to choose things in Final Fantasy VII. Okay, what about Final Fantasy 1? What about Final Fantasy 3? What about Final Fantasy 4? Like, what are you talking about, brother? Like, what are you actually talking about? Most RPGs don't have literally any choices. They're not real. Shut up. Okay, man. All right, man. All right. Jimmy's a little bit rustled. It doesn't. The thing that makes contemporary RPGs feel like RPGs definitely is choice to a certain degree, but I don't think choice is necessary for an RPG. I think growth and evolution are the main things that make an RPG stand out, which is also characteristic in like roguelites, if you will. Like in this game, there's a lot of growth, and I think that's the thing that makes an RPG that in the biggest way. But also that touches into like action adventure territory with like Devil May Cries and stuff. Like there are often skill progression systems in those, like new weapons unlocked and stuff like that. So I get how those games are all like crossbreeding into each other now. Hurry up and finish so I can scream at you. Yeah, I mean, you can just come on the stream if you want to just come on the stream and have this conversation. If that's really what you want, like we can just do that. What am I trying to do? I'm trying to get a legendary boon. This is not going to happen. This is impossible. This is literally impossible. Right now, it's like Ares' legendary boon. Black metal and engulfing vortex. Black metal. That's terrible. Engulfing vortex. What? Yeah, that's truly tragic. I have 2 feats from Ares, and neither of them help me get his legendary boon. That's actually so unfortunate. I think I'm attacking ghosts right now. Yeah, those are not real. You're the real one. All right. There's another one over here. There we go. Yeah, the Demeter aspect, the aspect of Demeter seems pretty good. I like it. You just charge up a nuke that you detonate on a fool. I thought I heard a fish spot, but I guess not. All right. Let me go over yonder. Okay, you're live, but let me add your asset as well, so that people know. People can know. Yeah, that's up to you, man. Look, man, I can't fix your end, all right? I can't mute your stream for you. Mute all of the audio for the stream so that yeah, true. I'll just mute the mic on my side so you just hear yourself in stereo. How about that? Which of these do I go through? The gem, I guess. It's green. Security. You tried. I mean, it is bluer than the other one. You're not wrong. One of them is yellow and the other is green. These guys are... I'm sorry? How do I make green, red, and blue? No. Red and blue is purple. Red and yellow is orange. To make green? No. Red is the one that isn't involved, actually. Of the primary colors. Yep, that's green. It only took 4 hints, but yeah, you got there. Oh. I feel like that's just knowledge. Well, okay. Did they label them for you, or did you yeah, I was gonna say if they're labeled, then it's just a matter of like having the knowledge. But if yeah, obviously if they're not labeled, then yeah, it's truly unfortunate. I'm gonna be real. There's a Resident Evil puzzle that's similar to that, where like it's like you have to make this like extract, this serum or whatever, and the way that you can tell the progress of your serum is the color. And I think it's even more obfuscated than that, where you had to make a certain color, because I think it doesn't like necessarily tell you. I'm not positive, but I think it doesn't necessarily tell you what color you're trying to make either, but you could just tell your actual progress by the color. So if you knew what color you were trying to make, maybe there's like a note somewhere that's just like, oh yeah, you got to make a light violet one or something or whatever, but it's just a purple, like a lavender. No, it's gray. It's gray. You can probably see violet, can't you? What? If you can't tell what color it is, can you even see it? What is there a meaningful distinction between a color that you can see and a color you can't tell the difference between? Fair enough. Fair enough. So you're like, wow, I don't have a word for that one. There's a scene in Twilight, the Twilight franchise, that has that. Yeah. Yeah, when she becomes a vampire, she sees an 8th color in the spectrum. There isn't very much emphasis put on it. I haven't seen the movie, so I wouldn't know. Obviously, they're not going to present it to you in a way that you can see. There are colors, there are forbidden colors though, that you can see.
I'm Zagreus. I'm not a murderer. Can you say Zagreus?
Wait, this is important. Oh, she's trying. See, she's trying. She's almost there. All right. She's been saying murder and murderer this whole time, but she almost said Zagreus, sort of. Yeah, you know. Yeah, you know. As you do. So, yeah, I think it was like a Vsauce video. I'm pretty sure it was Vsauce. And was it Michael here? It might have been Michael here. It was either Michael here or Kevin here. Well, no, there's 3 of them, so it could have been. Oh no, his name isn't Jeremy, is it? Yeah, I was like, that's CinemaSins. Oh man, I don't remember his Kevin? Michael, Kevin. No, that was the one I said. So Michael, Kevin, and then the other one. No, it's not another Kevin. I don't know what his name is. He does the movie Vsauce ones.
I'm innocent.
Kind of. His name isn't movies, but yes. Oh man, it was actually quite good. I love all of them very much, so that's why it's killing me that I don't know his name off the top. But regardless, oh, I should switch off of this trinket because it's obviously not doing anything for me. So the way that they work is what you would do. I at least remember the conceit well enough. Oh no. I guess this one's the first one. So the way that it would work is that you would get like, so you know, you've probably looked at the sun a little bit, right? Not a lot, but a little bit, right? And there's when you have even just like the reflections or just like light bulbs, any bright object, there'll be like a color bleed. So if you look somewhere else, you can see where on your retina your eye has been fatigued. So that has a color with it, and usually it'll be like a blue or a green or whatever. And the thing that happens is your eyes can get acclimated to colors similar to that, right? So if you look at like this red of the lava, right, for too long, and then look at a blank piece of paper, the color, yeah, you'll see probably like a yellow, right? So the thing that can happen is certain combinations of those. So if you look at it like an orange square for long enough, and then look like at like a cyan dot, you'll see something that is a color that is bluer than you've ever seen a blue before. It'll look blue against blue. That's what's happening, right? It's your mind compensating for the color fatigue or what have you. And there was like 3 of them in the video. I think it was Vsauce Michael here, but I'm not 100%. It could have been any of them, because they all tackle, I mean, that's why they kind of share branding, right? They all tackle similar-ish kind of vibes. They just do their own thing. I like all 3 of them. I don't know any of them well enough to have like a particular affinity for any of them. And as far as the content goes, though, I think Kevin's, I think that applies to all of them, but if you're talking about like the way that it presents, which probably is what you're saying, I can kind of see what you're saying. It seems like Michael's the zaniest of them, ultimately. But when it comes to content, I think Kevin's is my favorite, because he has like the most mathy stuff. Mathy, like statistically analytical stuff, it seems. Seems like yeah. Yeah, exactly. Look, man, that's where the truth is. That's where truth exists. There's truth in feelings as well. Yeah, but not as easily as you can manipulate emotions. It's hard to not manipulate emotions. Let me put it that way. Yeah. Yeah. Like data can certainly lie to you. Emotions can tell you the truth. That's the difference, right? There are times when emotions can tell you the truth, and there's times when data can lie. That's my perspective on it. Not that obviously one is necessarily better than the other. You're supposed to use them both. You have to use all. Well, it's not even just them both. There's more options than just those 2, and that's where truth is. You have to intersect all of the different things in order to find out. Just break down humanity into like nice discrete criteria. That's the way I like it. You fool. You've fallen for my trap. All right. Who are we doing next? Oh, Stunfisk. Oh god. Oh god. Don't stand on the lava. Stunfisk. Yeah, and it doesn't hurt that bad unless you turn on the thing that I turned on. Yeah, a difficulty. Yeah. And now it hurts real bad. It hurts a lot. I think I'm gonna go Aphrodite here. The Fists of Malphon, the Twin Fists of Malphon, aspect of Demeter. Yeah, the aspect of Lucifer is a little rough. It's not the worst. Oh no, there are weapons that I think that are genuinely worse than it. And the weapons that I've never used. I gave the aspect of Lucifer a chance. I would rather not. I would literally rather not. Hear me out. What if I didn't? But yeah, the aspect of Demeter, or I'm sorry, Lucifer, has mechanics that probably I could see someone using it well, and like it being good. Some of the other ones, like I genuinely don't. I just don't. I'm like, no, this is just bad. Like, one of the aspects of Varatha, the spear, is this is like really, really hard to avoid him. You have to dodge twice. All right. So the thing about I just got absolutely head smashed. They're so much harder now. No, it's not. It's literally harder than I've ever. I've been dying in this run this whole time. I thought, hey, maybe I should just turn up to Heat 32 just to see. Just, haha, wouldn't it be funny if I could do this? And the answer is no. Heat 32 is hard. I mean, it was funny. It just wasn't. It just wasn't very, very optimal. And also, it's a lot harder to get a legendary boon if I can't choose to get the right boons in order to unlock the legendary one. So, yeah, he's usually here. It's Cerberus. He's one dog. He is one dog. Yeah. Yeah, and they have different ones, but they're one dog, I think.
You have fulfilled already many prophecies envisioned by
He's the one that let you pet him. Wait, his right or our right? Stage right?
impressive nonetheless.
So yes, stage right.
Thank you, Nyx. Though they're just minor prophecies, right? The kind that won't necessarily come to pass unless spelled out and coupled with a decent reward to make it worth my while. Not even the Fates are above greasing the wheels of progress then.
The Fates have perfect knowledge of exactly what is necessary for the future they have woven to someday come to pass. We each are instrumental to their ultimate design, some more than others.
Everyone always speaks about the Fates in like this like weird detached way, because they're like, look, man, it's inevitable, but you also have choice. Don't think about it too hard.
Don't go too hard on each other out there, all right?
Your mother's proud of you, as you can see.
Never. Never. It's not good enough. Yes. I mean, it's worked so far.
I'm much obliged.
Yeah.
Well, I don't see why not. Oh gods, am I becoming hopelessly obsessed with the Theseus?
Yeah, to complete this area. At least I think so. Sometimes when you unlock stuff, that more stuff become unlocked. But I think this is the last one, and then it'll be 3 check marks. I'm not gonna get it though. Not too much. I've drawn the line at completing these last few achievements. Something happened in Elysium, just don't know what it is. I only attempted the heat thing because I thought I might be able to do the achievement at the same time. And I mostly could have. I just didn't. First of all, I died. Secondly, I didn't consider what reducing the choices would actually mean for the purposes of getting
Chiron.
Yeah, absolutely not. Hell no. I mean, go ahead, feel free. Which one of these do I genuinely not like at all? I'm trying to find literally the one that is like the worst one. This one upgrades your sweep attack. All right, the aspect of Guan Yu, bro. Let me tell you about the aspect of Guan Yu. All right, so first of all, I have 100 health right now. I turn on the aspect of Guan Yu, I have 30 health now. That's number one. And that's not just reducing your maximum health by 70. That's any maximum health you gain from now on, and any healing you gain from now on is reduced by 70%. That's number one. Now my attacks are heavy attacks, which means that they do a little bit more damage. Great. Oh, yeah, and they're also slower. I have this, which is a projectile. When I charge this up, it's a projectile. Every tick of damage heals me for 1 point of health. And I have a ranged attack that is a little slower than normal and does a little more damage than normal, but it only goes one way instead of going out and coming back. And my dash strike is just a normal dash strike. So that, compared to what Varatha was, right? Damage is a little lower, or significantly lower, like half or a third as much, but comes out much faster. The dash strike is the same, and the spear throw and return does a little bit less damage, but you do backstab damage consistently, because obviously you're attacking from the front on one side and from the back on the other. And this spin attack is, I would say, probably worse than Guan Yu's, but the thing is, hear me out, just don't use it. Just don't use it. So yeah, I would say the aspect of Guan Yu is literally the worst weapon. Just the worst one. Like, I was going to tell Roku about this, like, oh, hey, because he loves Guan Yu. Guan Yu's, as far as Chinese mythology goes, he's like Guan Yu is his dude. It's one of his things, right? Like Artemis and I, right? So when I saw this, I was like, oh, sick. Let me try it out. And I try it out, and I'm like, wow, this is bad. Like, bad. Like, I don't want to tell Roku about it because he's going to be disappointed bad. Like, if he gets this game, unlocks the aspects of Guan Yu, he's going to be like, wow, this stinks. This is stinky. Oh, wow, look at how terrible this is. Haha. I mean, come on, man. You knew it was going to be that, right? You should have known. No, it's okay. I'm good. Oh. Ooh, whoa. Whoa. Now you've sold me. So yeah, we'll do EM4. I don't necessarily need to win. I just need to get a legendary boon and purge it. That's all we're trying to do. Yep. So we're just gonna work towards every god that we get. We're just gonna work towards their legendary boon. Try and narrow in on it. Oh, we'll go with Phalanx shot here. Way too much. What do you mean way too much? That's not too much. This is a roguelike game. A roguelite game, perhaps. Most, perhaps. It depends what you mean. 90% of people, perhaps, but if you want to say, if you're talking about 90% of people who are playing Hades right now, they've all probably put in another 300 hours over me. Not that long ago. It was Game of the Year like 2 years ago. Something like that. I don't remember when exactly, but not that long ago. Yeah, no, that game is hard. Though, honestly, I'm probably much more prepared for it. Yeah, I'm probably much more prepared for it now. It's one of those things where you play any a roguelite game, you get pretty transferable skills probably to a certain degree.
I made mistakes raising your mother, Sprout, when she was my Kore. I was blind to the possibility that she could have left me, but...
This whole Kore thing, Persephone's birth name is Kore. Her dead name, I guess, is what we would say in 2023. I've never heard of that before. I know the story of Persephone. You know the story of Persephone, right? She's the one. I'm sorry. She goes to Hades. She's kind of like a Meg in the Disney's Hercules, actually, in a way. she ends up being the wife of Hades, I'm pretty sure, consistently. There is something with pomegranate seeds involved, but the idea is she's the reason that winter falls on the world because of Demeter. Demeter's daughter leaves to Hades, but she exists in like a weird liminal state between life and death. I don't know the story well enough to retell it, obviously, but that's the vibe, the overall takeaway that I got. Do I want my special to be improved? Probably. I mean, look, man. When you have no explanations whatsoever. I mean, honestly, they probably did it from like as much of a rational perspective as you can, if that makes sense. Where they were like, okay, look. We know for a fact. Oh, I'm over here trying to use. I thought I was using Varatha, just now, the spear. So that's why when I dashed, I was doing this, because I was like, why am I not attacking? What is happening? So you try to explain things as rationally as you can, and the thing that makes the most rational sense from a human perspective is that there is some human somewhere that is, turning on the hot and cold lever somewhere. Somebody's intentionally making the choices.
Not exactly like old times, and come to think of it, there always was a bit of tension there between those two, but still, it's better than before.
So to me, yeah, it doesn't seem like crazy. We can do Ocean's Bounty. Try and get the fishing legendary boon. I kind of want that max health. Destroy what? Destroy the boon. Oh, I have to purge it. Yes. So that just means getting rid of it. So like you sell it back to the shop, basically. Yeah, that's why when you said destroy the boon, though, it's like it's a lot more visceral than what's actually going to be going down. Like I'm just gonna click on a menu or an item option in a shop. You know what I mean? Like it's just there isn't like destruction going on. Nothing. Yeah, exactly. It's gonna be blink and you'll miss it. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be great. We'll do this one.
The deadliest bow of all.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And that's a commission, don't you forget. I'll pay them for it. Gladly. If they have like a PayPal or something, or like a Steam. I mean, they're an artist, so they have to get. I imagine if they make any money at all. Oh, really? Really? Okay. Fair enough. Exit wounds? Don't I need exit wounds for her? Yes. So we'll do exit wounds. A drawist. Where did I hear that? Was that Drawfee? I think so. Drawfee was talking about drawers. What riveting gameplay that was. Just holding down left mouse button and moving my mouse across the screen. that was literally all I was doing. I mean, kinda. Sometimes. For a first-person shooter, it's got to be among the worst. That's what I'm saying, though. Like, do you see what I mean? That's why, like, it shouldn't. Yeah, but the other Fallout games are more true to being RPGs than to being first-person shooters.
My repeated treks across this realm, all thanks to you. You sure you don't want it back?
They're.
Absolutely not. Though truly,
You want to read? Let's read it. RPG. Yeah, I'll finish this dialogue. We'll go to Wikipedia. That's gonna be as good as it gets, right? As far as the definition goes. Let me give Boldy his due. The Boldy tax.
You're a good friend, Boldy. I'm glad you're here.
Hell yeah. All right. role-playing game. A role-playing game, sometimes spelled role-playing game without the hyphen or RPG, is a game in which players assume the roles of characters in a fictional setting. Players take responsibility for acting out these roles within a narrative, either through literal acting or through a process of structured decision-making regarding character development. Actions taken within many games succeed or fail according to a formal system of rules and guidelines. There are several types of role-playing games. Really, we're talking about the video games. Electronic media. Single-player role-playing video games form a loosely defined genre of computer and console games with origins in role-playing games such as Dungeons & Dragons, on which they base most of their terminology, settings, and game mechanics. This translation changes the experience of the game, providing a visual representation of the world, but emphasizing statistical character development over collaborative, interactive storytelling. So, by that definition, any game where you have statistical character development is an RPG. Halo Infinite is an RPG, but not the other Halos. Uh-huh. Okay, all right. So you want to start from somewhere else? Let's see what Steam says for RPG. Does it define it for us? No, it just brings up games that is like, these are RPGs. Probably. Role-playing video game from Britannica. A role-playing video game is an electronic game genre in which players advance through a story quest, often many side quests, for which their character or party of characters gain experience and improve various attributes and abilities. The genre is mostly rooted in TSR, including Dungeons & Dragons, a role-playing game for small groups in which players also, in which each player takes some roles such as healer, wizard, warrior, to help the player's party battle evil as directed by the group's dungeon masters or assigned storyteller. Weird that you just embedded a like a post-it note definition of D&D in there. While fantasy settings remain popular, video RPGs have also explored the realms of science fiction and the cloak and dagger world of espionage. So I like the initial definition once more, in which players advance through a story quest and often many side quests for which their character or party of characters gain experience that improves various abilities and attributes. That to me sounds like an RPG, and that does describe Fallout 4 and Halo Infinite. Not Halo 5. That's a different game. It's so funny to me that you're so convinced that Halo 5 is Halo Infinite because we skipped Halo 5. It's not. It's really not. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. You played Halo Wars, but that's fine. I still don't know if I want to count Halo 3 ODST. I'm going to be honest. I feel like that's more of a spin-off. Kind of. Kind of. Fallout 4 is an RPG light. To me, there's like a significant difference between Fallout 4 and Halo Infinite when it comes to RPG-ness, though. Because Fallout 4 has crafting, weapon systems, base building. Well, man, like, it's not nothing, all right? It's not nothing. Is Minecraft an RPG? You level up. You do have statistical improvements. You have armor. Minecraft is an RPG then, no? Minecraft is more of an RPG. Minecraft is more of an RPG than Halo Infinite is, but less than Fallout 4 is. Do you agree with that statement? That's what I'm saying though. When they said it's loosely defined, they meant like, yeah, no, it's really, it's a know it when you see it type of situation. There isn't really, there are no rules.
Never enough.
I don't think I don't think that matters, bro. I'm gonna be honest. And also Fallout 3 and New Vegas. You're always the courier, always the son of Liam Neeson.
What's in the world this time?
Yeah, and in Fallout 4, sometimes you destroy the railroad, and you often blow up the Institute. Well, 2 cities, an airport. That's something. Yeah, yeah. I think I said this. I said as much before. I think the biggest problem that you have with Fallout 4 is that there aren't as many side quests that aren't tied into the main story.
Come try me.
You can do that. The problem is that there's just so many base building. Probably more than 4. I looked up a list of all the side quests in that game, that like quests that are technically side quests that aren't affiliated with the main story. And there is a list. There's like 60 or something like that. Yeah, something like that. Maybe not 60, but definitely like 40. Like, I don't know.
In the name of Hades.
I mean, yeah, I'm not saying that they're like, you know, like earth-shattering side quests. And also the DLC does help with that, to be fair. What do you mean? Yeah, those are the 2 DLC, right? The other ones aren't like the same. Yeah, those aren't. Yeah, those aren't. Yeah. Yeah, I understand, but you're wrong. They're wrong. How about that? Does that make you feel? Sometimes they tell you what the season pass is going to have, to be fair. Sometimes. Yeah. I don't think season passes in general are a scam. I think that some of them are scams. I think that's the difference the distinction that I would make. Pandora's DLC. Schrodinger's scam. It's a scam until it pays off, like crypto. It's a scam until it pays off. Crypto absolutely is a scam for 100% of people except for the ones that turn to profit, which there definitely are some. Yeah. It was totally worth it until it wasn't. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. It'd be like that, man. I'm glad that you got out of the space for the most part, right? Well, not. I thought you had some of a crypto, right? Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. I didn't mean like you bought your way out of it. I mean that you got out of the space so that you don't have to worry about it anymore. Mm. Yeah. Obviously, it's much better if you got into it for free, but regardless, being in that volatile market, to me, it's not that different from having any other stock, except, you know, peaks and valleys are a little bit more dramatic, right? It's like a penny stock, if you will. Yeah, it really went the other way on that one. It's the same kind of libertarian, authoritarian thing where like they end up very close to each other in a way. And now your crypto wallet is like the most specific way of identifying you that anyone possibly can identify you. Yeah, it is the way that you will be identified, I think, in come the future, you know what I mean? Well, I mean, ostensibly, it's not that different from like credit in a way, right? Yeah, and like, it's to me, it's so real that like, also I definitely got Athena on my flourish because I thought for sure I was using Baratha again. I don't know why I keep forgetting what weapon I'm using. This literally has never happened before. Maybe you are distracting me. Yeah. Yeah, but it's fine. I'm doing okay as far as the run is concerned. It's just this is like, it's wild to me how off I have been with regards to the weapon that I'm using. Like, do I want Hermes or this Palm of Power? Probably the Palm for my special. It's pretty unfortunate. I'm gonna do big damage with this flourish, so it's not the worst thing, but really you want to be able to stack like chill or something with the flourish, because you're going to be hitting them like, I mean, as you can see, I can hit them consistently like what, 6 times, 5 times a pop or whatever. And if you get there's the poison in this game is called Hangover stacks, and if you stack it 5 times, you'll do 5 times as much damage per tick, right? So it's much better to stack it up. And it's a debuff, and if you get 2 debuffs going on someone, then you do 40% bonus damage. There's stuff. But it'll be okay. I'll just do raw damage, just raw big damage numbers, and it'll be okay.
Sharpen my senses. Denizens of the deep, arise.
Yeah, for the most part.
Come on out. Just a crustacean.
Pinchrin, I think. Mm-hmm. No, you're good.
How bad could it be?
Mm-hmm.
Not so much as think about
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's mostly just because there aren't side quests in general, to be honest. But you're not wrong. Mm.
how many times.
I don't think that's necessarily an issue. I think they could have made it happen with there. Oh, for sure. Mm-hmm. The fact that sarcasm is such a big thing in the new Fallout 4 is such a meme. Like, they really did not need to do that. And I feel like they did not appreciate how much they were going to get hate specifically because of that. It's so funny to me. Yeah, some of it is gold and some of it is trash. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. It's sarcastic, bro.
Won't need but a moment of your time here, boss, and you'll more than make up for it real quick. You got my guarantee.
Wow. You're saying you didn't read ahead in the script to know what the result of your sarcastic choice was going to be? Are you even a Fallout 3 enjoyer? Fallout 4 enthusiast? A Fallout New Vegas connoisseur? Surely you should know what all of the implications of your actions are going to be in advance of actually doing them. If you're like really a fan of the game, like if you're actually a fan of Fallout, you would already know all of this.
Lady Athena.
For the most part, there are a few things that are nice though. There are a few areas that are interesting. The pit? Oh, like the fighting arena? That's the pit isn't the DLC in 3. Yeah. Yeah. Mm. Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See you.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably. They probably didn't just want Kate to be there, and that was it. But it's hard to say. It's actually like more weirdly adversarial than that, as I recall. Like Kate isn't like thrilled about the idea of being with you, and the guy that her handler is like trying to get rid of her. It seemed like, as I recall. Maybe. I don't super remember.
Let me have it.
She's such a Fallout 4 hater, bro.
In the name of
I don't think it's a terrible Fallout game. Fallout Tactics, and there's the other one. Yeah. There are some terrible ones. Oh yeah, true. Fallout Shelter's like the worst version of that one post-apocalyptic survival game with like that's like really heartfelt and also like really grim. It like takes place in like the Russia or Ukraine or something, and you're like constantly you're caring for these people, but you have to do like such terrible things in order to protect the people that you care about and stuff. I don't remember what it's called though. It's like a side scroller, like light. It's very Fallout Shelter core, but it's like a real video game instead of being whatever Fallout Shelter is. But yeah, I really don't remember what it's called. I might be able to find it later if you ask, but obviously I'm a little predisposed at the moment. This is the Bone Hydra, and his name is Lerny. All right. Thank you. Actually, Zagreus named him Lerny, so I don't know. I don't know if that's actually what his name is. He might have a real name somewhere, but as far as Zagreus is concerned, he's Lerny. He just chose it at some point, which is especially funny. You fight the Bone Hydra, like, I don't know, say 10 times, 15 times, and he's just the Bone Hydra. And then the 15th time you fight him, Zagreus is like, you know what? I'm going to call you Lerny. And from that point onwards, it's Lerny, the Bone Hydra. Changes the title and everything. And it starts saying Lerny Vanquished instead of just Vanquished. The Bone Hydra Vanquished. He's like, yeah. After a certain point, yeah. I am Legend. I didn't name the fish. Oh, yeah. That's you're really the one who imposed that lore on me. I was, yeah. The way that it actually worked, the way that it actually panned out from my perspective, right, is that there's a fishing mechanic in this game, and I was like, oh yeah, instead of fishing for, a random thing in Hades, I'm fishing for a shiny Pokemon, right? That's how it started. And then I started compromising. It was like, okay, the Pokemon aren't shiny. They're just going to be regular Pokemon. And you were like, oh, well, obviously you're naming the fish that you catch after Pokemon. And I'm like, that's not what I'm doing, but it's also not that different from what I'm actually doing. So I basically have co-opted that anyway. So, but yeah, like that lore really did come from you rather than from me. But I'm right now. The history books say that I'm right. As the victor.
I'm going to get through all this.
So yeah. I'm definitely not as hardcore against Fallout 4 as you are, that's for sure. I think it's fine. I think it's better than mediocre. I think people enjoy it much more than you're giving it credit. And I don't think it's a bad game. No, that's not even that. The challenge playthroughs are where it's at, really, as far as all of the Fallout games. And to me, Fallout... I'm sorry? Is he dead? Oh. Well, that's... it's... Yeah, I was like, I don't know if you want to go with Air because, like, he is kind of in dire straits, bro. Like, that could become real. Wow. What a thing to be right about, bro. Yeah, obviously. If for no reason other than the content, but also because he is just a human that's, like, existing on the planet. Yeah, Fallout 4, you think so? Yeah, I'm sure it wasn't. Or I hope it wasn't. 'Cause that would mean that he opted into it in that way. And it was easily avoidable if that's the case. Oh, well, yeah, that's why they made it. It better be the most accessible. They made it that way. Imagine if it wasn't the most accessible Fallout game after extreme concerted effort on their part. The Rooster Teeth Squad or whatever. Yeah, I don't see how that has anything to do with anything. You know, I just have it. Yeah, I'm just wearing my Pip-Boy. What's the problem? Oh, man.
Switch to a new effect. Powered up.
Yeah, I definitely ended up much more positive, which is funny to me because we played through that game realistically from start to finish together, Fallout 4. And my opinion of that game is certainly much more positive than yours. But maybe it's because we haven't played through Fallout 3 or New Vegas together. Maybe that's why. Because I remember, like, relative to my Fallout 4 experience, I remember genuinely disliking Fallout 3. I didn't actually dislike Fallout 3? No, but like relative to Fallout 4, right? For the amount that I liked Fallout 4, I could say that I disliked Fallout 3. Yeah, like genuinely. But it's been a long, long time since I played Fallout 3, so I don't super remember it, to be fair. But I played New Vegas for the first time not that long ago. It's been a few years, probably like 6 or so years. But who did I go for? House.
Got him that time.
Yeah. Yeah, because he convinced me. He convinced me that he was a good guy and he was going to do his best to make the world a better place. I was convinced. Yeah.
Any other blessings, maybe?
Well, that was part of the goal, man. If you talk to Caesar about it, he's like, the next thing that happens when we win Hoover Dam, we will conquer the NCR, and what will happen is those who exist in the Legion now will become the military for the populace that is the NCR. That was his goal. There was going to be a synthesis, a unification of the two factions and a beautiful blending. No, it's not. There is no civilian population for the NCR. Not really. Or for the Legion, I'm sorry. The Legion doesn't really have civilians in so much as there are people that support the war effort. Into members of the military, yeah. So when he conquered the NCR, the civilian population would expand out over Legion territory. That's what what is different. The Legion ostensibly doesn't have civilians in the way that they would need to have in order for their existence to continue without continuing to ransack, you know, more and more territories, right? So the way that, sorry? Yes.
Gods grant me strength.
Yes, he canonically dies in your playthrough. If not during your playthrough, he will be dying immediately after, almost certainly. But if he had like a little house set up, the Legion honestly would be an option. To me, it's still lesser than house, but it's still theoretically could work. I think that Kaisar is capable of unifying all of the Legion and the NCR under himself for his lifespan. I think that is possible. It's just that his lifespan is so short that it's not gonna, and it's gonna fall to pieces immediately after. New Vegas. Doesn't that game like run like absolute dog shit? All right. Did you have to get any mods or anything? Okay. Yo, what up, Delta? Oh, I gotta add you. I gotta make sure the people know that you're here. Here you go. The collage? Oh, is he calling us a collage? Is that what it is? Oh. Look, man. I'm doing my best, okay? I mean, I could try, even if I try harder, that doesn't mean I'm not doing my best, Savage. Your best isn't good enough. Oh man, I want to say coworker, but technically my superior, not at my current job, but when I was a contractor. Help! All right, I got stuck in that winter storm for a second. It's fine. I was helping him tile a shower, and he said, "Hey, we need to cut it, you know, like this and this, and it needs to have like this kind of a notch in it or whatever." So I did that, and well, I didn't do that because when I came back with a tile, he's like, "Nah, man, can you?" He was like, "Oh, okay. What I need is a tile, you know, a corner tile like this and this with this notch." And I'm like, "Isn't that what I just gave you?" And he's like, "Yeah, so I need that tile. If you can do that, that would be great." I'm like, "But I did my best." And he's like, "Well, your best wasn't good enough, so I'm gonna need you to do better this time." Yeah. Yeah, I cannot read between lines, brother. That is well beyond my capacity. I'm gonna be honest. It's well and truly outside of my bandwidth. Sometimes I can, and when I do read between the lines and get a meaning, I'm either totally off base or 100% correct, and they've been trying to tell me it subtly for ages. Like, yeah, it's one of those two for sure. The principal in Breaking Bad, who I'm like, "Is she flirting with Walter?" And you were like, "No, that's his ex or whatever." And I'm like, no, it's the principal. It's like, because you were like away from the TV or whatever, the computer. Which you never clarified if she was flirting or not, so I still have to just wonder as well, for the record. Which might be a spoiler, I get it. But like, I don't know what the difference is, but okay. I still don't understand. Are you gonna explain it to me? Maybe. Oh, can I purge this legendary boon right now?
Let's think about this.
Nope. Wait, I can reroll. Nah, we don't reroll for that. We save the reroll. We got plenty of other opportunities. No. There'll be other purging stations.
Let's see. Should be useful.
All right, Savage. What are the stakes, brother? Yeah. So I'm gonna reroll for this, and if I get it, yeah. Get my get back on you on the Discord light mode for 24 hours. All right. So if it's not there, you get Discord light mode. What if it is there? What then? Oh my god, dude, that's so high risk for me. So basically the rest of my stream is what you're saying. Okay. You think it's going to be here?
Something else.
It was.
The gods won't mind.
God damn it. God damn it. Oh. Yeah. I'm coming. Here, let me show you. Yeah, get ready for the flashbang, everyone. It's gonna come. All right. Let me go here. There you go. Discord light mode. There you go. All right. Jump scare. I think that's just because I have Nitro. Yeah, I got a Genshin Impact gift bundle. I can claim it until September 27th, 2023. Yeah, I don't need Genshin Impact in my life. I'm gonna be honest. I think I'm gonna be better off if I do not play that game. Yeah. I honestly, I hate banners. I hate badges. I hate notifications. There's nothing that'll make me want to do something less than giving a notification. All it will make me want to do is make that notification go away. So you have a very brief window in me making that notification go away in order to sell me on whatever it is you're notifying me about. Because you will get my attention for that instant. But you better sell me. You better make me think like, yeah, I do want that actually. Like, I don't read emails in my inbox, right? I'll read the subject sometimes, usually, but like the actual email itself, you got to get me on the subject, bro. You got 30 characters to convince me to read your email. I mean, there's some truth to that too. I mean, just not emotions. That's definitely true. I definitely don't cold read. Yeah, no kidding. It's pretty good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty cursed, bro. I think you should move on. I think you need to cut it off at the source. Start a new life. I don't get that many emails. I do get a decent amount. I have a work email that I use, obviously, and that one has things that I actually do need to read. But my personal email, I don't really get stuff for. Just notifications for like PayPal and stuff like that. I commissioned some art. It was, no, it wasn't. Well. Well, all right. Let me just tell you the rest of the story, okay? we'll put a pin in that one, Savage. Yeah. So what had happened was, I decided to like try out just like a random artist on Twitter just to see, and the reason I wanted to get something from them was because I was like, hey, I don't really have like a true like Discord icon-y kind of thing with my VTuber model. It's a little unclear because it's just a cropped picture of my actual model itself. It's not like form fit for the function, right? So I was like, oh, maybe I should do something like that. But it was just kind of like a whim. So I was like, whatever, I'll just make that happen. And somebody that I happen to discover on Twitter does that and also does like branding stuff. So like maybe like a starting stream screen, something like that, right? And we talked through what it is that I wanted and what they were interested in providing me and stuff like that. And ultimately they were like, oh yeah, so I can do all this for yay so much, whatever. And I'll be done. Like I asked them what the timeline would be, and I was like, and it didn't really matter what the timeline was because it's not like I'm pressed, obviously. And they said, oh yeah, it'll be about 10 days until they're done, right? And we had this whole conversation after I had started streaming. So let's say it was July 15th, right? Somewhere around August 3rd or whatever, I'm like, and I've been contacting them pretty regularly. So it's not like they were ghosts or whatever. But I was starting to be like, it has been well over 10 days, 10 business days, however you want to slice it. It's been a while. So like, what's going on exactly? And they were like, oh, well, since it took me so long to do this, instead of just giving you the thing that you asked for, I'm actually going to give you like a Twitch overlay since you're a streamer, right? I'm going to do that free of charge, right? And I was like, that's cool. I didn't ask for that, but that's fine. I'm not upset about it, right? And they were like, well, and they went and did everything that I asked for, presumably, and also made the Discord overlay, presumably. And I had paid them up front, so they had already gotten their money, like literally from day one. And that's how I think that commission should be done, even though I have been scammed before. I think that's just how it should happen. Regardless, there were during our initial conversation, I was like, hey, so how are you actually going to submit it to me? Just like send it over Twitter? And they were like, oh, well, Twitter compresses images or whatever, so I'd rather send it to your email. And I looked it up, and Twitter does compress images, but like only from like of a file size of like, it's like several megabytes or whatever. I don't remember how big it was, but it was large enough where I was like, oh, it's fine. And whatever compression I end up getting, because initially it was basically just like a Discord icon. So like, it doesn't need to be that big. Like, there's actually size limits for Discord icons, right? So like, I really don't care how big the actual file is. You should be able to send it over Twitter with no problem. So I was like, yeah, no, just send it to me via Twitter, and that'll be fine. They finished the thing, the whole request, including things that I didn't ask for, and they were like, hey, with the overlay and stuff, I can't send it over Twitter because it's too big. And I'm like, and they were like, so can I get your email? And I'm like, nah. Like, nah. I could have. But yeah, I'm just out on that one. We'll say that was Stunfisk, by the way. So I did an entire commission and got literally nothing out of it. Ultimately, is what I'm saying. Yeah, it is, and it's fine. But so that's why I was like, did I get scammed? No. Am I? I don't think so. They got paid. Yeah, they could have sent it. They could have sent whatever they could have sent on Twitter, and they chose not to do that. And that is on them. Yeah, and that's the thing that's the weirdest part about it to me. The fact that they wouldn't send it on Twitter and that they were so insistent on getting my email just rubs me the wrong way. It just feels weird. Yeah.
I can use this.
I don't know about this narrative of getting scammed a lot per se, but that's fine. It's happened once. It just happened once. Once. I didn't show them around. No, I didn't. He was in my foyer. I stepped into the kitchen, which I can see from the foyer. Or I can see the foyer from the kitchen. But like, no, just the one guy. But yeah, no, that wasn't. I mean, yeah, maybe. But still, that wasn't me being scammed. So like, even then. Yeah, okay, but I didn't get scammed, did I? That's all that I'm saying. I already sold it, remember? I showed you the light mode. Remember? Savage, I'm saying when I showed the light mode was after I had already did the thing. I didn't just commit to losing the bet. It was decided. It was decided at that point. Yeah, no, that's... Yeah. I'm just finishing this run because it just seems wrong to just be like, okay, well, I did the last achievement. We're done here. Right? Like, seems a little messed up. And this is EM4 too, I think. So it is actually going to be a little dramatic at the very end. All right. Yeah, what are you doing? Huh? You what?
Just can get me out of here.
So is that distinct from what you're doing in your mind? Going to college for something you're ashamed of? He's like, I'm going to be a poli-sci major. I'm eventually going to be a politician. Yeah, I'm not thrilled, all right? I'm going to be corrupt like all the others. Look, man. That's what some people. Let's. I'm not gonna name names. Yeah, let's move on. Yeah, let's move on. Yeah, yeah. Let's move on quietly from that. Actually, never mind. So yeah. Yeah. Anyways. So also you could go with the pyro of like, I sell weapons to people. I make weapons. That's what I do. There's nothing illegal about it, but I sell death. That wouldn't be surprising to me. It would be weird for a university to be specifically oriented to that because it seems a little too specific. But that wouldn't surprise me that something like that exists. No, though. Like part of the university could be dedicated to that, but I feel like it's still gonna have like like a business degree and you know what I mean. Like I imagine most of it, the university, or maybe not most of it, but a decent amount of it's going to be dedicated to just miscellaneous. But kind of, yeah, kind of.
That's the stuff. Down the chute.
Yeah, it was a little bit emotionally abusive, Savage. I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, no kidding, no kidding. But yeah, the thing that was funny to me is I got the same vibe that Savage did, where I was like, I don't know why you didn't just tell him what your major is, because I know what your major is because you've told me before. And I didn't want to say what it was because I was like, well, obviously it's a secret for some reason now. Yeah, I've been there. What? No, I've been there before. No, in my past. Yeah. Yeah, I'm a butterfly. Yeah, man. That's why I'm a VTuber. VTubers and social butterflies. They're like peas and carrots. Aren't wallflowers like not? They are and they aren't. What does that mean?
No satyrs here.
A drama club sort of deal. Okay. Because it's the lowest stakes, I think. An easy A, if you will. Sport science? What did you learn in sport science? Oh, actually, that sounds way more useful than I thought it was going to be. What did I think? I thought it was going to be like sports statistical analysis. Like linear regression of of anticipated, or yeah, it could just be a fan club thing where it's like we really just love soccer, football here. We just love football. We're just gonna watch football games for an hour.
Crisp, cold air.
You gotta give me more than that, brother. Jersey.
Getting back to my desk, but I suppose the work can wait.
Ah, I see. Kit? Ah. If you said kit, we would have known what you were talking about. Yeah, if you had said kit, we would have understood that to mean the things that you need. It would have been your entire setup for... Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, I get it. The worst is when there's an English word for something and there's the American word for that thing is different. Like cookies and biscuits and and fries and chips and all of those are the worst ones. Where we're like literally not able to tell what it is that you're talking about. Yeah, we call those steak fries. Why? What is wrong with you? Who hurt you? Who was it? Yeah, who hurt you? Yeah, that's something happened. That's not supposed to be. Obviously not. If he made the steak fries himself and they're very soggy and he's like, I don't like steak fries, he should have known that is on him, right? Like if you made the food yourself and you're dissatisfied with it, that's definitely a you thing, not the food thing, right? more likely that you did something wrong than the food did is the issue. Unless you're like, you know, an accomplished chef, even casually or non-professionally. You chef from time to time. A bit of chefing is very funny to me. I've never heard that before in my life, not in my days. What do you mean? He might have said it once. That does sound like something that we'd have said. I kind of like it, but it does strike me as like very much a Charlie-ism where I would not expect a human being to say words like this. He wears a black shirt sometimes. Have you seen the Charlies that he sends out to the streamies? Charlie and the Charlies. He does do music too. He should do a song with Charlie and the Charlies. That would be great, right? It's kind of outside of his typical genre, to be honest. It seems like it wouldn't necessarily be the kind of music that he would typically create. That's true, but I feel like when it comes to his music, there's like I've only seen like 4-ish like of his songs, so I could just be like woefully out of my depth, or out of the depth of like the breadth of his content, his musical content. But in my experience, it seems like Charlie and the Charlies would be like pretty outside of his wheelhouse if he did like the quartet style, which is what comes to mind with Charlie and the Charlies, right? But he could definitely do an homage to the quartet style music in like a more metal-y space. That would be interesting too. Yeah, I know. Is he still trying to buy content ideas from someone? I feel like Charlie and the Charlies, he might be interested. You want to submit that one, bro? Yeah, it was the worst. I know. Yeah. 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 Unfortunately. It's not his game. He's just publishing. Oh, I think it's just the one game so far. I'm not sure about that. But he did have an upload recently about Big Mode. So in that upload, he very well could. Oh, by the way, we beat Hades. EM4 Hades, just casually talking about other stuff. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a roguelike, so there's still a roguelite. Yes. Yeah. We've done it. 100% achievements. It would be a platinum trophy if this was PlayStation. It is indeed not PlayStation. Good for you, man. Yeah, no, absolutely not. We're doing. Are we doing Stardew next, or are we doing Valheim? So, Savage, you have Valheim, and you don't have Stardew. Delta, are you okay? What Pokemon incident? Oh, okay. When I said you have to play a Pokemon, he's never played a Pokemon game. Yeah, see? I'm like, what a cruel end to an otherwise pretty good life. Liver failure. What's up, Thanatos?
Sorry I raised my voice with you last time.
But yeah, I'm like, yo, you can't be a gamer and have never played a Pokemon game. You have to have at least played one of them.
It's not me you should be apologizing to, Zag. So, with Mother Nyx.
Yeah, honestly, you could beat the whole game in like an hour.
Thanks.
as yet.
So, are you maintaining better contact now with Uncle Zeus, Uncle Poseidon, and the rest? Oh, and is it all right for me to speak about them here?
I'm certain the superficial messages we have exchanged shall taper off with time. We have always been apart, irrespective of the distance separating us. I know Zeus is content with your mother's version of events.
Wait, what do you mean for now?
I mean only that our family is prone to causing problems for itself, never content to leave things well enough alone. But if we have little to do with them,
Yeah, we can play Valheim. We'll start up a whole new thing with all new characters, as always.
But their family.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that Delta knew what our plan was there. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'll buy that. Let's have that nectar.
I see. I was like, potion making? Jesus, you guys made a lot of progress to divvy out the potion making role.
Contractor, work approved. Another piece for the music stand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You've known Megara practically forever. Well, before my time at least. So could you tell me more about what she was like back then?
I am pleased to see the two of you on better terms of late. Megara always was as she appears. Dutiful and quite particular. Thoughtful and dependable.
So,
Respectful.
you guys need to appreciate that this is the second time Nyx has laughed in the entire gameplay experience. I asked about her daughter, who I am dating, or Zagreus is dating. And she was like, no, she was, it's more like a bemused, pleasantly surprised kind of laugh.
Respectful. Definitely.
And she is like the most stoic character in this entire game. So like, noteworthy endeavor. Sorry.
Everybody knows about us, Meg. Even Aphrodite
You can continue with what you were talking about. I just needed that to be brought to your attention for a second.
You wanted to keep things quiet, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I'll stop the recording and switch over to Valheim as soon as we're finished with these last few conversations.
Well, I could do without the kill or be killed stuff if we're being honest. That part is still
I don't think it is.
But otherwise, yes, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy.
I mean, I'm playing Hades right now. This is part 21, I think, of Hades.
Gods. The things they say about us.
Mm-hmm.
Even other gods. You pay too much attention to it, it'll drive you out of your mind.
Oh well, yeah. I don't necessarily.
But I know how important
Yeah, I would only play it if you guys, at least one of you were around. I think.
Already crossed that
So
bridge.
it would be a little different than most games that I stream, in that I don't anticipate playing it, you know, nonstop for the next ages and ages. Oh yeah, I think I need to update. Oh, actually, I didn't even download Valheim on this computer.
it's working out.
So not only do I need to update, I need to download the game to begin with. Yeah, I have two computers.
Wisely, my friend.
What do you mean? You could easily have that. A second computer is quite useful, especially like a laptop kind of thing. It could be very, very useful. I mean, it's basically a computer. Oh, yeah? What? Kadaz. Interesting. I've never heard of that before in my life. I see, I see. Well, that guy's on the inside, so I trust his judgment. Unless it's an elaborate prank. Yeah, I have 143 hours in Valheim total, and we played through this game probably 4, maybe 5 times, right? In Hades, I have 120 hours, and I probably have like 20 hours before I started streaming, to put it in perspective.